What's up, my people? And in this video, I'm gonna share with you the risk you can't afford to miss in your 20s. Stay tuned.
Jamal, man, this beat is crazy.
What's up, my people? I'm Blake. For those of you who don't know me, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the like button if you do find value in this video. Definitely want to get this out to as many people, because as I'm getting close to reaching 30, I was just reflecting, and somebody had reached out to me asking me like, what would I do all over again in my 20s? But I want to focus on like just risks that you can't afford to miss, because the first thing that I'll talk about is getting outside your comfort zone, meaning getting outside your environment that you're currently in. A lot of people, they never leave where they're from. You know what I'm saying? Like, other than to go maybe on vacation or something like that. But I really recommend you live somewhere else, even another country, because you can always come back home, but you may not always be able to get away from home. And so to avoid being caught in that trap and not getting able to experience life in a different perspective, you'll miss out. Because when you think about it, every single person is looking at the world through their lens. But when you travel overseas, you get to see the world from a different way, and it allows you to tap in with a different way of life. Like when I went to Spain and lived there for a summer, I came back with a different perspective and a different appreciation for how spoiled we are here in America, and so many other things, just how passionate they are, like just how people go about their daily life. And this is millions of people just getting up every morning just like we do, but they just have a whole different outlook on life. It's a whole different world, as they say. So that's the first thing. Make sure you get out of your zip code. But I really want y'all to like travel to a different country. I feel like that's a risk you can't afford to miss, because what happens is you start having kids. Our parents starts getting older. So you get tied down with a job and you start in your career. So before all that gets set in stone, get the fuck and go travel somewhere else. Like, that's the biggest thing I can tell you. Another risk you can't afford to miss is to stop listening to everything your parents say. And I want to give it to you in a way that's like not as bad. So think about it like this. If your parents never flown a plane but are trying to tell you how to fly a plane, would you listen to them? Nah, seriously, would you listen to them if they're telling you how to fly a plane? Probably not. So that's why, like, if they're not qualified to tell you about money, they're not qualified to tell you about business, do not listen to them. Like, you love them, and here's the thing, they mean well. They're gonna tell you things from their perspective of what their worldview is. But it's hard to tell somebody something or to guide them if you haven't done it. It's really difficult. And people have these theories on what they think it should be, but that's not the case, y'all. Like, so the most dangerous thing you could do is listen to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, whether they're your parent or not. Like, you have to just like be objective as possible when it comes to that part. Now, the next thing is, I'll just kind of take that a layer deeper. That goes for anybody. If I wouldn't trade lifestyles with you, I'm not listening to you, straight up. And so a lot of times people get mad, like, I'll hear you out, but as far as me taking action on what you said, man, you could set me back 5 years, you know, and that's the most dangerous thing. So like, I'm always learning from people, because my biggest thing, and I've posted about this several times, is that I don't have all the answers, but I know who does. And I know someone I can reach out to in a different industry, whether it's learning how to cook a dish, whether it's learning how to negotiate a deal, whether it's learning how to salsa dance, like whatever the case may be. I know an expert in those industries, and I could tap in with them and learn from it. Now, another thing that you cannot afford to miss in your 20s is to try everything. I know when we get to college, they tell us like to major in something, try to stick with it. But we're 18 going into college, getting into all this debt. And I'm going to get into that part too. But we get into all this majors, and we don't necessarily know what we need to do. So try as many things as possible, especially if you're not going to college. And even if you're finished with college, like, try as many things as your 20s as possible. Here's why. Your risk tolerance goes down as you start to have kids, start to have to take care of your family, you start your career. You kind of lessens your risk tolerance, because like as kids, they have no fear. They believe that they can do anything in the world. But as we get older, we get domesticated, and as we get older, it still starts to continue to grow on us So the best thing to do is to try everything. Fail as many times as possible, because you find out what you don't like and you find out what you do like. And that's the best way to go about it. Now, as far as the college thing, try not to get into any consumer debt. That's the big risk that you can't afford to miss. Do not get into consumer debt. Do not get into student loan debt. If you must go to college, I recommend, and I'm saying this because this is what I would do if I had to do it all over again. I didn't have a scholarship. I would go to community college for 2 years, and then I transfer to a big dog university. So that way you get the prereqs out the way, and you don't have to spend all that money on student loans. Because the facts are the facts, the stats are the stats. That the average man makes 50 G's a year. I don't know what it is for women, but I know about men is about $43,000 to $50,000 annually. And student loans are usually way more substantial than that. So if that's the case, you cannot afford to be caught up with that debt, because it automatically sets you back and you're trying to pay that off along with other things. Now, we can get into a whole topic on what you should major in and all that, but just you cannot afford to get into consumer debt. There's so many ways to learn sales and create your own money and learn stocks and stuff like that for you not to have to get caught up in consumer debt. Because they're going to throw a buku credit cards at you to make you seem like, oh, interest free for X amount of time, no payments until X. Do not fall for that trap. That's a risk you can't afford to miss, because it will set you back to your 30s and maybe into your 40s. And saying you'll do it later. So when you're in your 20s, a lot of times we think we have time, which relatively speaking we do, but we really don't, because at the time of recording this video, I look back at my first video and it's just mind blowing on how much time has gone by, right? So time is not necessarily on your side, and it's really an illusion. So you thinking that you're going to do it later is the biggest lie that you're going to tell yourself, and that's a risk you cannot afford to miss. So if you're thinking about going travel overseas and live there, just do it. Don't say I'll do it next summer, because you may not have the opportunity. Just imagine in 2019, all the stuff that I did traveling with my daughter. If I was like, man, I'm going to just do that in 2020 because she'll be a little bit older. Or 2020, nobody was traveling. So that's what I'm saying. Like Drake said in the song, it's one of my, not one of my favorite verses because he got so many bars, but he said, get it while you here, boy, because all that hype won't feel the same next year, boy. So for y'all, it's not going to be, may not be the same. So those are risks that you can't afford to miss. Comment below what was your favorite risk, and I'll see you on the next video.